They try to take it, I'm getting it back. And if they hit me, they gotta get taxed. I'm making hit after hit after hit, and I promise you, boy, every one of them slap. Hop on a verse and I body it quick. They never work, and it's why we don't mix. I don't got time for the fake, and I swear that I'll always say real, something they never did. Oh, they saying that I'm up next. I told them that I'm up now. Promise I came for the next.
How do I look? Do I look comfy or do I look uncomfy, guys?
You're good, dude.
Oh, okay.
I
don't need to look big.
You got a little bit of an arm pump, though. I feel like.
Well, there was a rushed arm pump.
Dude, it's also funny because you came here in a completely different outfit and you fully changed. I'm like, this guy's on it, dude.
Hey, listen, when Bradley Martyn asked me to come on his fucking podcast.
But it's interesting, man. It's like it right away. I was like, it's funny because you obviously have gone so far in the sport of bodybuilding and 7 times.
Yes, sir.
Which is insane to compete at that level that many year after year after year is insane. But it's funny now you come in here and you come in like you prepare, you like had all your stuff. You're like, I'm going to do this in my beer. You're like, oh,
yeah. Don't let the secrets out.
No. But it's funny. It's an interesting thing because like that makes sense. Like that's your personality because to succeed at that level for that long, you have to have that with probably everything in your life. Like it's just like that's ingrained in your character.
The saying is make a plan to fail, right? So every Olympia I've ever done, there was a plan of action from the off season all the way to 20 weeks out, all the way to 10 weeks out, all the way 6 weeks out. So now everything I do kind of segueing from that competitive mindset into life.
Yeah.
All has a plan of action. And listen, not everything goes to plan too.
Yeah, of course.
So you have to roll with the punches too, you know. But
sometimes tough.
Yeah.
So on that note, I guess as far as like this idea of planning and your progress and all of it, before you got into bodybuilding, was that aspect of your life already there? Like, were you already a planner? Were you already like an executor? Like, or did bodybuilding kind of show you that?
Well, I picked up my nickname Flex when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with bodybuilding. And my mother thinks it's kind of fate that I fell into this world because there's no cousin or uncle or anybody that was a bodybuilder. How I kind of fell into it, I would say, is I discovered a book on Tom Platz when I was 12 years old. That my auntie went and seen his seminar, brought it back to Wales, put it in her kind of spare room that she used to stay with my grandparents at. And me being the nosy little 12-year-old kid, I found this book and it blew my mind. So from there on in terms of planning,
yeah, I
was like, man, I wanted the biggest legs in rugby.
As a 12-year-old, you were thinking about that?
Oh, yeah. I had no clue how the I was going to get to there.
Yeah.
But I knew that in this book, a squat bar on my back was going to build my legs.
So the first guy you saw was like Tom Platz. You're like, this is insane.
Subconsciously, WWF, Arnold, Rambo.
Got it.
And then something, I don't know what it was, because I played rugby high level for all them years, and my grandfather played, and it was kind of being Welsh, you know. Yeah. That is our nation's, rugby is our nation's main sport. So to play for the country or represent the country in any degree, that's what I strive to do. But I wanted these big legs. And I just wanted everybody to, you know, when I run on the field, I want to be a dominant force. Yeah. I was never going to be the biggest guy, height-wise.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make up for it in strength and power and, you know, I had the speed. It's
interesting. When did you start to really, like, realize you had what it took to be a great bodybuilder?
Good question.
You're like 18? Because I remember, and the reason why I asked this question, I remember, not that I'm a great bodybuilder, I'm great in things that I've done, but I remember when I was first getting into competition, a lady came up to me and was like, there's this new competition coming out, which you'll laugh about this. If I'm talking about competitions I did. She comes up to me, she says, this new competition category coming out. And I was like, oh, what is it? Because like I've always known about bodybuilding because I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I wanted to be like 300 plus pounds. I wanted to diet down. That's why I was training. Yeah. And then someone comes up to me, this woman, she goes, oh, this new category came out. You'd be great for it. You get to wear board shorts, men's physique in 2011. And I was like, oh, fuck it. Like, and then all my buddies were like, yeah, you should do it. Just take your shirt off. It's simple. And I did, and I got smoked. And then like, but it says I just showed up and like sprayed on a tan, didn't do anything. I was just a gym bro. What's that?
You no diet and nothing?
Zero. I literally just showed up one weekend and was like, oh, I got abs. But then I got smoked and I was like, oh, this is what they want. And then the next show I like won and I won overall. Then I did really well. Yeah. And then eventually I got out of the thing. But enough about me. The question to you is, Like, where along the lines were you like, because for me, there was that moment where that woman was like, you should try this. You have like a good build for this.
Yeah.
Where were you? Were you like 17, 18?
Yeah. I started training with guys that were all older than me.
Yeah.
They were like, you know, the cooler, older crew, and they were all into training. They all wanted to be big, but playing rugby. So I joined the local powerlifting gym, and I started powerlifting to help with my rugby. And there was a couple of bodybuilders in there, but I was told, like, as a powerlift, you know, when I was powerlifting, you can't do biceps, you can't get into your squat suit if you do this and do that. And then a couple of the guys in the gym, they were like, hey, you should do your first show. And I was like, man, I ain't getting up there in a pair of Speedos. Can I swear, by the way, on this podcast?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Listen, half my shit gets demonetized every time I swear.
So I'm going to tell you, I'll give you a hack. Don't do it in the first 2-3 minutes.
Oh, you're in this?
If you do it in the first 2-3 minutes, you are
off camera. I'm going to pick some of your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to help you.
But I'm new to this world. You're the OG in this world.
I've been doing it for
I hope it passed 2 minutes already, are we?
Yeah, we're great. I've been doing it for a long time.
I know you have. Dude. I know. Mad respect, mate. In mad respect. But in terms of where I was at a very young age, like 15, I was in the gym. I started getting told, hey, you should do a show. So I started powerlifting.
So you were 15. You probably started looking good.
All legs, calves.
Wait, it's so crazy because how are you 12 years old and you're like, that's what I want. I want big legs. And the next thing you knew, you had fucking massive legs. Was it just because you... Was that just but because it's not just intention, right?
Yeah.
It's genetic though. Like everyone knows this, and I think it's enough to say, and we should say this. Like bodybuilding, yes, you can be the hardest worker. You could outwork someone else who's not working hard with their genetics. But at the end of the day, like if you don't have, I'm not saying you can't pursue this thing that you love, but if you don't have what it takes to like build muscle in that kind of like symmetrical, pretty fashion,
absolutely,
it's going to be a very, very difficult task to compete at a high level.
Yeah. But
so it's interesting that you thought at 12, oh man, I want legs that like this. And then that's genetically that was in you.
Well, hard work plus genetics.
That's fucking game over.
It's game over. And that's the mentality I had from a young age. Like I grew up very blue collar. And I know we're kind of going all over the place, and I'll answer your question about the powerlifting side in a little bit. But in terms of the blue collar aspect of things, my dad and my mum, you know, very hardworking people. My dad used to be in a steel factory, just retired after 40 something years. So I see my dad work doublers, back to back, 12-hour shifts. He'd have a couple hours off, he'd go back in, and then he'd still come and coach me and my brothers playing rugby every weekend, coached other teams too, refereed. Hardest working guy in the room, and the quietest guy in the room too, until he gets a whistle in his hand, and then he turns into a maniac. Yeah. He's like a referee. So my mum was a nurse, and she was wrote off disabled. So I seen the struggles that she had and my dad had. You know, kid playing the computer games, next thing all the electric goes off in the house, all that stuff, and I remember that feeling. I know what it's like to feel broke, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a massive drive for me to become, you know, something. And before I talk about all the businesses and stuff, I knew that after somebody kind of told me, it's like, hey, you have the opportunity to do really well in this sport, I knew I had to take this chance.
Who was that person? So
that person really was Neil Hill.
Really?
And Neil Hill is still my coach to this day.
What the fuck?
And listen, I and for all the viewers that are watching this, you know, myself and Bradley are being 2 passing shifts, bro. Let's be honest, maybe 2 decades, decade and a half.
It's been
at least a decade and a half.
Yeah.
Like he would do, you know, expos. He'd have a line out the ass. I'd have a line out the ass. We can't leave booths. People saying, hey, you need to meet Bradley. He's in the green room. And vice versa. And we're like 2 passing ships. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, is this guy deliberately trying to ignore me right now?
It's been years. Like fucking years.
I know. But
so
fucking off the point. But
yeah.
What was I at?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Back to the idea of like where you came from and who was the person? It was
Neil. It was Neil. So I done my first bodybuilding show. The gym owner told me, if you do your first bodybuilding show, you're gonna have a free gym membership. No, at that age, I was in college, I was playing rugby. That was a lot of money for me. So I said, sign me up. How hard can this be? I loved bodybuilding at this point in time. I was buying Flex magazines. And if you remember, take yourself back to the 90s, there was very little people talking about diets. I don't know why. It was so secretive. Nobody would talk about diets, post about diets. Remember that?
You know what I feel like? I feel like, because I would have been to the end of this, I would have caught the end of this, like where it was like, where my mind was thinking about this. It was honestly, it felt like because they were so invested in selling like bullshit products that they didn't give a about actually giving a diet. It was like, Muscle Tech's 500% increase.
You
and
said
like,
the name, not me.
no, it's just bullshit. Just fucking a scam. It was
Man.
such a crazy scam that I feel like they also had the hold on those magazines because they would pay the money to have the spots.
It's like this thick.
So it's like you couldn't. Why would they want real information when they could be like, all you gotta do is take this and get 500% gains?
Yeah, there was a lot of.
It was a different time, man.
A lot
Today,
of graphs,
dude.
a lot
Like
of before and afters.
Insane and like crazy, like the way they. I mean, you know this because you've done so many shots, but like, obviously you look incredible and you looked incredible, and when you competed, top of the line, but. The crazy shots to make you look crazy drastic.
Yeah.
It was just so much like overhyping and overselling of like this shit that it's interesting now because there's so much more information and there's so much more out there that you can like really benefit from.
Yeah, it's true. And there's a lot of, again, with this piece of plastic that you and I have in our hands every single day that we use for social media, people will get caught out fast. Back then, that was our Bible. You read that every single month. You go through it back to front, front to back.
Yeah, I remember
and there
that.
was the first time somebody posted a diet in the Flex magazine. I was like, there's my diet for the show. Do you know whose diet it was?
Who?
Gunther Scherkamp's, 300 pounds.
It's like so.
So
Maybe that helped you though.
I looked at this. I was like, okay, this guy's eating all this carbs. He also had like Firehouse, all this stuff. I was living in Wales. What the hell's the Firehouse?
Yeah, there's one in Venice.
Yeah, the Firehouse Venice. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take all these out. I'll change this to this. I mean, I done a budget diet. I ended up winning my first ever show on that. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. I was depleting for 12 weeks. I was living hell. I'll be honest, hardest show I've done because of the lack of knowledge. And everybody in the gym is a
What
is a
year
bro
was
science.
this? This your very first show?
My very first show. I had no clue what I was doing.
What was your body weight?
Oh my God. What's the math on this? Roderick, can you pull out your phone?
Kilo guy. He's
12,
a kilo guy.
14 pounds in a stone. I was 12 stone 8.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know.
That's hard
Caveman
for me.
style.
I don't
man.
know shit about that. Dog.
Caveman style. But yeah, 14 pounds in a stone. I think I was 12 stone 10 maybe on stage.
What
but
the f is he even saying?
I know, what does he say? What
no
am I
knows-
saying? Fucking
no one
subtitles
knows what
underneath
you're
me.
talking about.
Welcome to my life.
14 pounds in fucking stone.
You got it? All right,
Yeah,
okay.
see,
that's my Jamie.
This guy can't
Yeah.
even figure that.
Yeah, so he's like, kid. So
Damn,
I
bro.
ended up doing that show. I
Yeah.
won the juniors, which is under 21, and it was a star class. Bodybuilding is really big, really
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
And then I done the novice class backstage. All these guys were talking about am I going to do the British? They didn't look at me. I was in the mix. I had Mister's legs from here down. Up here, I had a body of a 19-year-old. And legitimately 19-year-old. And I'll send you the footage on my first show. And I ended up doing that show, winning that show. I walk out to the parking lot. All my friends from college came, and there's an open bar in bodybuilding too. So everybody's hammered. They're all yelling, got air horns. Everybody's happy I won. Everybody's kind of waiting for me to be back to flex too. You know what it's like dieting. You start getting quieter and quieter and quieter. So I was jacked a lot. I was like the shortest and the loudest in the class, So, and me trying to diet whilst in college and girlfriends and all these other things, there was no chance. So I was looking forward to being myself again. And then I had this gentleman follow me to the car with my parents, and he was like, hey, you need to do the British Nationals. I was like, listen, all respects. I know who you are, big fan, and I really appreciate it. But let me think about it. He's like, no. And he gave me this fucking Braveheart speech. Take it on the English. Because that's Welsh for a small country compared to England, right?
Yeah.
Take it on the English, Scottish, Ireland, mainly England. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I looked at my parents, being 19. I was like, what do you think? They're like, represent Wales. Fuck them all. My parents, cool. And that guy is still my coach to this day, Neil Hill.
That's insane.
He gave me my first diet. He said to me, if you do the show, I will help you. And literally that Tuesday after the show, I rebounded about fit. Nobody told me about the rebound.
Yeah.
For everybody who's watching this, don't understand. But when you deplete yourself and diet down so hard, and then you just eat everything and anything.
Bro, that was
how much you gain?
One of the craziest experiences of my life.
Oh, I couldn't tie my shoes.
I remember my heart pounding. I'm like, yo,
In bed.
am I going to die, dude?
And you still eating, right?
Yeah, I'm like, and I couldn't stop. And it felt like I couldn't stop for like,
That's right.
for like 2 months. I was just unsatiable. I just
Inhale.
had to eat food no matter what. I was eating everything. And then, but you know what's funny about that? My whole experience in bodybuilding and dieting, there's actually foods to this day that I completely avoid because I had so much of them, or like had so much while I was like in contest prep, like tilapia.
Oh,
I'll never eat that again.
soil, man.
I'll never eat it again. I don't know why I ate so much of it.
Because it gets you lean.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And it was just, I remember, like, were there any things like that for you that you're like, oh, I never want to do this again?
Well, mate, I mean, to be on top, there's things that I had to do that nobody that I stood against would even would think about. Literally, winning my Olympia is one of my biggest. It was an ally and a detriment was my appetite. I had zero appetite. This is the first time in my life in the last year that I've had an appetite where I can actually eat food, because I eat 2-3 meals a day right now.
Yeah.
Then I actually enjoy food, taste food. But when I was dieting and I was 15 years into this, and there's no day off in eating when you're bodybuilding.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not at that level.
I was blending chicken breast and rice, blending steak and rice.
Just to get it down.
Just to get it down, making it into soup, and everybody's like, oh my God. But listen, I wanted to create the legacy.
Is that what you struggle with the most in your career, is the food?
No question. Food was one of the reasons why I retired. The lack of appetite. I also developed a lot of gut issues over time too.
Because you had to stuff yourself?
Traveling around the world, different environments. I hired 3 GI doctors. When I tell you this, mate, I spent 6 figures in trying to heal myself while still in prep, just to keep myself in the game.
Yeah.
And I was so determined to leave a mark in bodybuilding that I was able to get away with some of the stuff in the 212 class. But when I went from literally starving myself to flipping the coin and then force feeding myself to go up into the open class, horrible.
Yeah. I don't think I think there's a lot more people, and I don't think people realize this, that in bodybuilding, there's a lot more of stuff like this, like gut issues and things that happen because of like the force feeding. Did you have anything that like stuck with you? Because I had a buddy of mine who like he did like bodybuilding. And I think he was like, he started realizing like orals and all this shit would flare up, like his Crohn's disease, and he have like pissing like blood out of his ass type stuff. Yeah, that's what Crohn's disease is.
Oh
yeah,
my
you're
God.
like got ulcers that are bleeding in your gut, and you're like shitting blood. But it's like diarrhea shit. Anyways, I'm not going to get crazy into that, but
I think it's not going to get crazy.
But he fixed it. But it's like he kind of part of it was having to stop certain things and like kind of like pretty much removed him from the lifestyle entirely. Yeah. Do you talk about gear usage, anything like that?
I don't talk about it much, but I mean, it's not because it's like for me and my brand, and you look at my whole sort of media of everything. It's just I've never been kind of asked the questions. When I've done seminars and stuff, you're going to have guys who want to hear what they want to hear.
Of course.
And the truth of the matter is, I went through a sport where I had a weight cut. I had to make a class. Yeah. So, I never had the ability to have an incredible off season. And if I was to do more to get in shape, then I wouldn't make weight. And I was able to retire very healthy, obviously injuries and stuff like that's aside the point. But, I've had 2 kids whilst I've been prepping. I retired with all my fucking hair. Yeah. I mean, this means nothing or something, right, to somebody. But, take it from me, and I have nothing to hide by saying this. Legitimately, I've done obviously more than the average gym goer. Don't get me wrong. But I never used and abused my body. Thankfully, I had a coach, Neil Hill, who is known for being very conservative. Yeah. And his sort of mindset was, if you can grow in ABC, why do you need X, Y, Z? Yeah.
I want to talk about that because I think it's really common. I think it's becoming less common now for people to like abuse it. I think our era coming up, it was very rampant, I think, for people to abuse it because of, like I said earlier, like the amount of readily like available information. And I just think it's important and whenever we talk about topics like this, just because it's so interesting. Every time I talk to people who competed at a high level, I don't even know if I can reference Chris Bumstead right now, but I had a conversation with him.
Chris is my guy.
I had a conversation with him off camera, and every time I talk to people about this kind of stuff, who at a very high level, it's always the same thing. Like the idea of less is more. And it's interesting because back in the day, it was just like more is more is more, do more. Because there's a lot of guys that we know about who like have come and gone, and rest in peace to all these people and all these souls, man. Like it's not the most healthy sport, right? But I just think it's important for people to hear that, like, I'm not encouraging anyone to go do this, or if it's in your life path, then it is, and there's no really way around it. But that's the thing I realized over time too, is like people get so caught up in that idea of if this got me this, then like this much will get me this much.
Yeah.
And it's just not that way. It just doesn't work that way. And then you also like, you have the compounding risk that comes with it as well. There's just like, are you willing to continue down that road, like to go further? So, yeah, I just wanted to just talk about it a little bit because it's obviously a very relevant topic in it. And it's not like we can just like avoid. It's like, I feel like at this point we're doing a disservice to people to just completely avoid those conversations.
Oh yeah.
Especially because on the internet now, like it's so like talked about. And also too, like there seems to be, I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know how much social media you watch, but all right, quick interruption. This podcast is sponsored by Manscaped. Now check this out. Manscaped have been protecting and preserving my balls for quite some time now. Yes, this is true. I'm not a father, but Father's Day is coming up. All right, so June 18th is Father's Day. So be ready this Father's Day. This is amazing. And look, listen, I'm not even a father and I have it for myself, right? They got the weed whacker, okay? Ears, ear hair, nose hair. I know I'm notorious for nose hair. People talk all the time and I'm like Snapchat or on Instagram like this. Nose hair, get rid of the nose hair. You got the crop preserver, take care of the balls. You got the lawnmower, which is essential because check this out. I mean, dude, I for one like to be clean down there. And not cut myself while I'm doing it. Manscaped has great product for this. Besides all the stuff that they have for like grooming for men, give them a shot. Check it out. I promise you, like if you're like, I don't know what to get my dad for Father's Day, this is going to be one of the easiest things, the easiest like shoe and gift that you can get for your dad. The thing that I like about Manscaped is that all their products, like even outside of their like grooming products, their actual like the hardware is actually really, really nice. The quality's nice. Like I've been using the beard trimmer for the last like, I don't know, 6 months and it's like not faltering whatsoever. And I'm kind of scruffy and I've like honestly constantly shave like probably every other day I'm shaving. So it's super, super useful. Very, very like high quality. So give Manscaped a shot if you guys want to get something for your dad for Father's Day or for yourself because maybe you're lacking in a few of those departments. Do it. I fully support it. Get 20% off. Go to manscaped.com. Put in code Rawtalk at checkout. Plus free international shipping. Right now, use code Rawtalk. Oh, also, they're giving away some goodies and some free gifts as well, like travel bags and stuff as well. So give it a shot right now. Do not miss it. Manscaped, I love you guys. See you guys. Let's get back into the pod. Even for time, it just got popularized, like the trend and steroids and all this. The shit is so like, it's like, it's popular. And like, I hope there's kids who watch this who just understand that what a serious decision that is and how it will affect the rest of your life forever.
I mean, you're talking about the now, not the future. You're going to look great, I'm sure. I mean, anybody young that makes the decision to go that route.
Right.
First of all, whatever they do, they are going to respond. But I mean, you mentioned it, right? The trend aspect of things. I mean, holy shit! There's people joining the gym and talking about taking that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't even use that until fucking 4 weeks out from my show, and that's the God's honest truth. I mean, there was no reason for me to use it in the off season, for obvious reasons. I had to make a weight cut, and that's kind of like the cherry on the cake. But for somebody now just to look good in the gym. There's so many detrimental side effects.
I know people do it all the time.
Unbelievable. Like, you can forget fucking kids, I'll be honest with you, if you're running this for like day in, day out for years and years and years. But again, listen, everybody's got to live their life.
Of course.
And unfortunately, you know, mistakes will be learned as the years have gone on. You've got, mistakes that you've learned from that made you better. As have I. I talk very openly about my mistakes on my podcast. It's made me the person I am. It's made me a better person. Every fall has made me, a better individual, a better dad, a better whatever. Fill in the gaps. But in terms of the supplementation that some of these guys are taking, you start off with that. That's not going to make you a better bodybuilder. Yeah. It's actually going to be a detriment to you because you are going to destroy your receptors. And then when you go, it's like, okay, well, no, I'm not growing, so now I have to take more. And that's the mentality. You were talking about, like, more is better. It's not. It's the glass. The glass gets full, then there's nowhere else to go, Yeah. And then
at the same time too, the side effects, right? Like, you don't know how, like, if you made a soup, this is a good analogy. You made a soup and you just put a bunch of shit in it because so-and-so said this was a good idea. And then you don't know which one is causing what. That's true. It's like, so then it's like, because like now you can't just go, oh, this is all causing it. It's like, if you were able to know, okay, this affected me this way, this affected me that way, then you'd be able to go take this out. Okay, now this makes sense. Instead of just like, what the fuck's going on? Well, and a lot of people find themselves like that. Yeah, absolutely, mate. And that's one of the reasons when I would prep with my coach, we knew exactly what we were doing because, unfortunately, there is a lot of fake stuff out there. Yeah. So adding that into the mix, and I have an end goal to compete, to be the best in the world, by adding things in
periodically. You knew what was working, what wasn't working. But then in the off season, you're eating everything, you're drinking everything. And a lot of these guys train their fucking ass off Monday to Friday, and then chase pussy and at the clubs on the weekend.
Insane.
And they're doing stacks that some guys are doing pre-contest, which blows my mind. Obviously, now the trending word that I see everywhere is trend.
It's
and
insane.
it blows my mind. It just blows my mind. And that's so now mainstream that guys are coming up to me, no names mentioned, because, like you have a lot of celebrities in your gym. I have a lot of celebrities in my gym. And they're like, hey, what do you think about this trend stuff?
It's like, dude,
what the fuck, bro?
it's like,
bro,
trend
stay
is
away
like
from that shit.
Trend is like the steroids on steroids. It's like if you had testosterone as like a 1, trend's like a fucking 100.
I know.
It's like what it's not
better,
like a
right?
joke.
It's much better, right? I'm like, the fuck, who told you this?
But that's what I'm saying. That's why this has to be discussed, because like there's a lot of kids, I don't think they just they don't understand it at all. They just see it and they go, it's I'm hearing it. So it's like it's acceptable. It becomes more accepted.
But have you seen half these guys who are taking it?
Bro, but that's the thing. It's not even that. Like that's the problem, right? But the problem is also people just hearing it and they go, I always ask people, they'll talk to me about that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
And I'll say, well, how long you been training for? They'll be like, 6 months,
Oh my God.
a year. And I'm like, dude, you don't, do you even drink enough water? Do you even get enough sleep? Do you even do you even eat enough food? Like you don't I guarantee you all those other things are fucked, and you're considering something that's changing the rest of your life. And it's like, for what? Like you have to go farther in it. But I just think it's an interesting thing. But I want to change the subject a little bit. You were talking about lessons and everything you've done and learning from those lessons. Why do you think sometimes, and maybe it's coming from a personal place, because I've some personal experiences in my life. I want your opinion on this. Why do you think sometimes it's so hard for people to learn the lesson? Like when you try to learn it the first time and you fuck it up, and then you get your same situation and you get to learn it again.
I think with me, and I came to this country, I came here, I only knew one person, and then I was on my own. So I had to learn as I went along. Also, I was in a strange country, and everything was so different for me. I learned a lot of lessons, and I truly had to, I feel I've done it the hardest way possible. Even with I just got my citizenship, by the way, after 15 years of, thank you, my man. And I done the long route to that too. I learned a lot from that. But I think if I was to go back, I would surround myself with different people as well. Iron sharpens iron. When you're around different mentalities, you've seen people who have paved their way and they've had their mistakes. They were able to kind of showcase and tell me, hey, don't go this, don't do this. I never had that. I think now in my position of being who I am and what I've done and what I've achieved, I love helping and passing forward, passing back, whatever the term is now. It always changes. I love helping in the future. I heard yourself too today. I heard you on several different podcasts talking about helping the new up-and-comers, the new YouTubers, the guys and girls in the gym, helping them with their social media. And that's truly, the lessons that you've fallen on your face at, now you're able to make sure that these next generation don't suffer the same mistakes, able to capitalize, monetize, various different things. I think mistakes, again, have to happen. Have to happen. I mean, listen, how many, with me then, shall I say, I had to have a lot of shitty relationships to find the one. And for me, I wasn't looking for my girl who ended up becoming my wife. It was just organic, I was chasing. I met this chick. She ticked every button, and in typical sense, I was like, let me look at further afield. And then I kept on being drawn back, and I was like, fuck, I've messed up a lot with different relationships, putting stock into different things, whether it was beauty, whether it was X, Y, Z, and kind of then everything came together, and all the boxes were ticked when I met this girl. But I had to mess up and make a lot of mistakes to get to that. In terms of business too, I've had to be in a lot of shitty business partners to find good partners.
Shit, about that.
Yeah, I know that we got a lot of relatable topics, I'm sure. But again, this is one of the reasons why you are where you are, because we do have very relatable things that have gone on, and it's just the course of life. So when you see people making mistakes, the only thing you can really do is encourage a person to get back up on your feet. And that's when you find out fast if they have it or not. It's a fucking mentality thing. You look at a pro who's been hyped up to the max, you know, maybe came right through the amateur ranks. It could be another sport, boxing, UFC. They take their first loss. That's when you see the champion mentality come in, because that person's either going to go back to the locker room, cry his eyes out, and be like, fuck this, I should have won, boo-hoo, kicking fucking rocks. Or he's going to realize that he wasn't the best man on that day, or he wasn't the best bodybuilder, or he didn't put the hard work in, he didn't do the extra cardio, he cheated on his diet. And that's when you have that reality talk to yourself and be like, hey, this is going to be the best thing that happened. It's the worst thing right now, but it's going to be the best thing. You know how many times I've had that fucking conversation with myself?
Yeah.
I've fallen so many times, and I've taken a lot of L's, but every time I've got back up, I'm fucking different.
I just think it's so important to talk about shit like that, because it is a really like undeniable thing that's going to happen. Even when you think like you I don't know if you know it all, but you figured it out, or you feel like you learned the lessons, man. Yeah. Like that's when it's the worst, though. That's the worst when like I've my personal experience, like I don't want to get too in detail about it, but like I've made a lot of the same mistakes more than once. And that's where it like really starts to hurt, until like you make a really big mistake and it fucking lays you the fuck out. And then you look back and you're like, you're able to look everything in hindsight and go, damn, well, like I could have stopped this. I could have changed this. And I didn't have like the sight then. And that's when it gets sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. Yeah. Right. But like what you said is true. I mean, I do believe that no matter what, like the idea is because I think mistakes and shit happen and are made because of either you're so focused on the future or you're still caught up on the past. Right. So mistakes, I realize, are the things that like make you more honed in on right now, the present, which is truthfully, we know how you succeed at anything, right? If I'm so caught up on the future and where I'm going to go, or if I'm so caught up on the past and where things were, or where I was, or what happened to me, or how I was affected, then it's very easy for a person to make their decisions presently based on things in the past. And oftentimes, like I could say right now, literally looking back, oh damn, I know a lot more now. I would have made different decisions then. Absolutely. But it had to happen that way for me to sit here to say this. Now I have it now. Now I understand it now. Yeah. I just think, because I know a lot of people deal with stuff like this and how important it is just to speak more about it, man. Yeah. So making the mistakes is like, and the lessons, those are the things that add value to your life ultimately. And everyone knows that, but it's like, it's never when you want it. It's never how you want it. But like you said, the reason why I could even sit here and have this like conversation with you is because like that's really my life. And then I'm able to have this platform because I really want to share, to help people to understand like, yo, you can get through this faster. You can get through this better, because I didn't have a ton of that growing up. Like I grew up without a father. I didn't deal with like, I was like trying to find father figures. And so being able to be in this position now, like all the mistakes that I've even made in my adulthood, it allows me an ability to communicate with people that maybe I could either get them to like slow down and think about their situation before they make that drastic mistake, or to understand that like if they've made the mistake, it was still necessary for their progress in life. And I'm just happy to be able to be here and have these conversations, and easy talking to you about it, man. Cause like, it's clear that to be at the level that you're at and the things that you've accomplished, like you will have had to make tons of mistakes. So it's just, it's nice. It's a nice conversation.
Yeah, no question. And I also believe there's a lot of characteristic elements that I've kept true to myself during this process, which I think has enabled me to rebound fast back with people around me. And I've later discovered new circles, regardless of what I've achieved and my accolades and stuff like that. That is Flex Lewis, the bodybuilder. Like,
all right, boys, another interruption from the podcast. Check this out. Babbel.com. One of the easiest ways if you guys are trying to learn another language. I've been working on my Spanish. Still a little rusty, still need a little help. I'm actually really good at understanding it, but speaking it, you know, I'm a little bit self-conscious. So Babbel's been helping me out because I'm like, I kind of sound better instead of sounding like, yeah, I mean, it's for those of you who are like, you know, maybe you're in California, Spanish is easily like one of the most helpful languages for you to learn. I've actually fully recommend it. Or if you just want to go on a trip to like Colombia or something like that, you're just trying to talk to some Spanish mommies, I don't know, some, you know, speak a little bit of different language. I know Jacob every once in a while throws it around, but Babbel can help you guys out if you guys want some help learning another language. Super easy platform, really just like straightforward. Kind of take the guesswork out of like where to go, what to do. They just make it really easy. All right, so right now you can get 55% off your subscription for Babbel. All you have to do is go to Babbel, BABBEL.com/Rawtalk to get 55% off your subscription right now. Again, that's Babbel, Bodybuilding.com/Rawtalk. Get 55% off, learn some Spanish or any other language of your choice. Let's get back into this podcast.
People will look at me and say I'm very humble, but I'm incredibly driven. I'm incredibly confident, and you have to be. You know, if you asked me while I'm in prep 6 weeks out, and you said, Flex, you know, how are you feeling? I was like, great, I'm going to win this show. But I'm not going to jump on a podcast and say that. And within my circle, that's the belief system. I had people that I'd literally fly in from different countries to be in camp with me. I had the mentality like a UFC fighter or a boxer, because you talk about giving back. It's still relatable is what I'm getting at.
Right.
I would fly in these young guys, these young up-and-coming guys. Rafael Brando right now, right? He's one of the top and hottest up-and-coming kids. Let's call him a kid, but he's in his 20s. That is going to be a future. I would bring these guys in to be around me, because when you are at the top and you've been there for quite some time, it's quite easy to forget the drive. Regardless of how hungry you think you are, when you see somebody that wants it, that hasn't achieved it yet, that was me. That's who I need to be. And you get them guys who are tenacious. They turn up on time. They're the first ones there. They're beating me. I'm prompt on time. When it comes to training, I'm religiously there. If you're there, I used to have my Boca Raton location, no windows, no doors, and that's one of the reasons. That's how the Dragon's Lair opened up. But it had like a security key card. If you were fucking late, you stayed outside.
It wasn't opening.
You weren't opening. I don't give a fuck who you are, how many times we trained together, and the lessons were learned. And these guys came from all over the world, and they texted me saying, bro, traffic was this, my girl wasn't getting... I don't give a shit. Should have left that bitch in the fucking house. No offense to my boys' girlfriends, by the way. But mentality of being a champion has to be a soldier-esque mentality. Like, you don't go and join the military and your sergeant or your captain or whatever it would be is going to let you turn up late because you've done X amount of tours. It doesn't matter. There's a fall in line. You're there on time. Be on time. And that's my mentality was. You and I then, once the door was locked, we'd have a 12 o'clock start every single day, 11:30 when we met up. We would talk about how your mum is. I'm sorry about the dog. Is it sick? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever life. On that 12 o'clock, we went in. That mentality would change. That would click. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to stay on top, because of keeping that element and that sort of tenacious drive around me. Because them guys were on the chase. I was defending. And I was all about a legacy at that point in time.
So you think, I mean, obviously this is a very common thing. I think hopefully people understand this, but the company that you keep being one of the most important things.
No question.
Like the people that are going to push you, that are going to drive you, that are going to make you grow and be better. So who are some of the people, obviously your coach, but who are some of the other people that were like that in your circle?
My coach, my wife, my family. And then I've had various different training partners throughout the year who kind of bring that element to the best out of me. But the ones who have been there, I mean, my coach has been there for 20 years. My wife has been with me now for 11. And in between, obviously, there's been people who have been, incredibly part of my circle. But the majority of people are still part of the circle. And when I tell you this, mate, I came here with absolutely nothing. I slept on a sofa for a year and a half in Fullerton, California.
Whoa. This is getting really weird. I lived in Fullerton when I first moved down here.
And I used to train in Coliseum Gym.
I trained there once before it closed.
And then you seen how big I was, and then you left.
No, it was closed. Like, whatever. I don't know when they closed it, but like, that's so funny because I lived in like...
Bro, these are the stories that keep fucking adding up.
I lived in like...
Oh my God.
I lived in like the worst conditions possible for the longest time. I lived on my buddy's floor on a fucking mattress, and...
It wasn't the same house, right?
I don't think so, but it was in Fullerton. And I did. That was when I was getting into bodybuilding. And I think I probably knew or had heard you were there. Yeah. You've been there. But I literally worked out there, I think twice, and then it got closed down.
It did. Milos' gym it was.
So I don't know what year that was.
Oh my God.
2000, that was like 2011 actually. 2011.
Yeah, it was before that. But
it must have been 2010 then. Because I swear I trained there twice and then it was closed.
I wasn't there anymore.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think I was hearing about you being there.
Okay. And you were like, fuck that. I'll wait for him to go.
That was a great gym, though.
It was a great gym.
Like, how long did you train there for?
Off and on. Remember, I came here on a 3-month visa, 90-day visa, because the UK have that, like, traveling visa. I abused that so much.
That's crazy.
You can't do that anymore. But
I can't believe you were in fucking Fullerton.
I know. I was there for a couple of years.
That's fucking
back
weird.
and forth, mate. Back and forth. And remember, that was the flex photo shoot gym. And another thing for you, too. Like, these are all weird circumstances that are coming full circle. But Fullerton was my place I used to train at. And then I got signed by Weeder Publications at 21 years old. You know where the HQ was?
Right here. Right across
Woodland
from my
Hills.
gym, yeah.
I used to come up here to see Joe Weeder a couple of times. It's just wild, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
just recently sold that.
Yeah, it's sad, man, to see that.
That was iconic.
Did you ever go in there?
Never when it was that. I knew though.
Man.
I knew. I went in. I went up to it before they like sold it and started remodeling it.
Yeah.
And I saw it, but I never actually got to go inside.
You know what? Coming from the UK, and you do so much sacrifice, and again sleeping on the sofa, and I'm like, you have them days where it's like, is this going to work? Even though it might be, you allow it to creep in, and you're like, shut the fuck up.
I still have fucking days like that, man.
But it's less probably, right, than it was.
Yeah.
But
there's more things. There's more things for it to feel that. You know, maybe like the feelings can get like squandered, like it can get shut down a little easier. But it's like I feel like I'm playing whack-a-mole sometimes.
Man, if I'm being transparent, I mean, fuck me, I spoke about gear, which I don't do on anybody's podcast. Bradley man is going to be talking about all kinds of shit here. And being open and honest. I mean, I have days where I'm so overwhelmed with all the stuff that I'm like, man. But I have that conversation with myself, and then once you start moving and grooving, it's kind of like when I wake up in the morning, it's like, oh my God. But going back to what I was saying about walking into the Weeder offices and being so young and impressionable and going to Gold's Gym and having nobody there. I'm not naming names, but some of these guys were strung out on all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, man, this guy used to be in the magazines. I used to look up to, there was not a soul in Gold's Gym Venice. That's why I moved to Fullerton, because everybody was going there for the photo shoots. So walking in the Weeder offices in Woodland Hills, 19, 20 years old, and just seeing the presence of all the oil canvases, lifestyle oil canvases, and Ben Weeder had a collection of all these sculptures and stuff, and then going up to the offices and you had Fit and Pregnant, Muscle and Fitness, Flax, all these different magazines, which obviously was our social media back then because it didn't exist. And to see how these things were put together on a big wall, and then you start seeing your face getting, you know, the spread is up 3 months before. And then you see, oh shit, I got a little fucking corner.
Dude, that's such a crazy thing compared to what it is now. It's like we filmed this and could be up tomorrow. Like, you know, it's all over the world.
3 months, man. Used to take these guys and girls, you have no clue, but to be told that, you know, you're going to be in the magazines, like, oh great. And you, every month for me being in Wales, or, you know, I was going back and forth, you go to the newsagent and you wait for the Flex magazine US to pop on the shelves. You pick it up. Oh, not this month.
Yeah.
You wait a month. Oh, not this month. And then it comes out 3, 4, 5 months later. You know, it's crazy. But as you said, you know, we do something now, we hit send, and it's for all the world to see.
The internet's beautiful.
But I will say this, I still played like a little bit of half and half, where I never would post myself without a top on in the off season, not even till 4 weeks out. I never was that guy. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I was kind of like Dorian Yates, where you'd only see me in a shorts and a fucking long sleeve tee.
Yeah, it's funny. I wasn't competitive bodybuilding, but I relate to that. I never really took many shots with my shirt off.
Yeah,
it's never enough. It was never enough unless it was like for you. Was was that what it was? Like it wasn't enough until you were like on stage ready. Was it ego thing, or was it like I don't want to show?
It was I don't want to show, and then I was being told, hey, you need to show. And now I look back and I think to myself, you fucking idiot. I wish I fucking
took more,
trained more, half naked. But to be honest, I wouldn't have. That was kind of my brand. And I done a video the other day, which was like a week and a half ago or something like that, an off-season photo, me all hairy, and I was curling in my house with my top off, and everybody's like, what the fuck is going on?
Because you got your shirt off?
I don't even do that.
Yeah. Damn, a little flex thirst trap.
And I got to remind them, bro. I got to remind them, you know?
How old are you now?
39.
Damn.
What are you, 33, 34?
About to be 34.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I did Google that age before I got you, because I thought you were my age.
That's fucking 34 next month, man.
Oh, nice.
Insane.
Nice. Yeah, November 40, big 4. But I still think I'm in my 20s. I still think I can do everything.
Is that how you feel?
Certain things, yeah.
Yeah.
Body-wise, mentally, yes. That's why I seen you too. You can kick it with any age. I feel I can relate to the guys who are Fortune 500 company owners that have been invested in various different things, all the way to a young kid who's been in the gym for a month.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I feel I've been that kid, and I'm trying to be that guy. Yeah. So there's a swing, but I truly believe that I can have a conversation with anybody. Truly.
Yeah.
Like,
I do too.
I just, as long as
I love this shit.
Yeah, I love this shit too. I mean, I've got my podcast, which I know you said you're going to come on mine in the future when I fit the role. Yeah. But I think, you know, I never was that guy in school to get up and talk openly to a crowd. I somehow found out after I won a bodybuilding show.
All right, boys, back again. This is a very important interruption. BetterHelp sponsored this podcast. Thank you, guys. Check this out. I know I've talked about this before. I've talked about this many times. I've done tons of Ask Rawtalk questions at the end of podcasts, talking to you guys about the importance of mental health, and just in general, talking to a lot of guests about their mental health, what they do to learn, what they do to get better, what they do to grow through the issues that they're having, that they've had. BetterHelp can help you guys. It's a super easy platform for you guys to do it from like the comfort of your home. You don't have to worry about, you know, lines. You don't have to worry about setting up appointments. You can just do it all from Zoom, basically, and you can do it where you're. It's just easy. So you don't really have an excuse. You can't keep making those excuses. And like I've said this before, and I'll say it again, mental health trumps everything else, right? If we're not right here, everything else will follow. Okay, so if we can get right here, everything else will follow then. So go to betterhelp.com/rawtalk to get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp. Again, that is BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/rawtalk. Do it now. Let's get back into this podcast.
That involves fucking getting on a mic and talking.
Yeah, and then you're on stage.
So there's me half naked on stage, as if that wasn't bad enough. You win a show. Hey, Flex, tell us how you went. I had to kind of...
I ate stuff and I worked out.
Yeah. I kind of had to... I hate this sort of mentality, but I had to kind of fake it until I made it.
Yeah.
And you kind of rhythmic patterns of talking, and then now, like, full circle for me. You know, was it a month ago? I got my citizenship. And there's about 90 people in that room. And because I was talking to everybody as soon as I get there, you know, everybody loves, I guess I got that sign, come and talk to me, right? All these officials are talking to me. They were like, hey, you're going to do a speech. Yeah, okay. So I got up there and I done my speech about how much this meant to me, the journey of getting there. Everybody is living the American dream in this room. Look left, look right, look behind you. Everybody's come from different countries.
Yeah.
And we're all here today, and we've all gone through whatever we've gone through to achieve this moment. And I made the judge cry. My fucking speech, I was like, what the hell is going on? The judge is crying. What didn't make me feel any better was the fact that, I had a kid like 3 weeks ago, so hormones are all over the fucking place. But nonetheless, I still made the judge cry talking about my citizen speech. But my point is, I went from being fearful of being on the mic, more than getting up on stage half naked, to then to now really enjoying it and do public speaking. I do the podcast, and I think that the methodology and the sort of, I would say, the lesson that I've learned from being in these shoes is, if you're scared about doing something, just fucking do it.
That's you're supposed to do it.
Do it. Just hit it head on.
And also the thing you said about like quote unquote faking it till you make it is actually a really important concept to like train your mind to believe in yourself. Not that like you just like go fake shit like, oh, I'm the best bodybuilder in the world, like, and you're not doing anything. But like just the concept of, you know, when that thought jumps in and it's negative on you and you're like you're holding yourself down, and you need to be able to catch it and go, okay, well, what's the good in this? You need to be able to kind of not fake it, but kind of train your thought so that you can go down the right path and you can create like those stronger, the neural pathways that are like directing you towards the good instead of like the habit going towards the bad. So it's a weird concept because it's like fake it till you make it, but it's very, very necessary in success, in like overcoming shit as well.
Have you had to do anything like that? Is there anything that you were kind of scared of doing and then you've done it? I know. Bro, I'm not trying to turn the Flex Lewis podcast here.
You're gonna get me started, bro. My everything in my life, man.
Really?
Like, I mean, fucking, like, dude, everything that I was like trying to accomplish and everything that I've done, like even all like the whatever cool shit that people might have seen on social media, like jumping out of the pool and all this like lifting girls shit, all this shit, I was like, I would always have to like mentally, this is a small scale, right?
Yeah.
Prepare myself and be like, I'm going to do this. I can do this. Like, I'm going to do it. Right. I'd have to convince myself to it. But even to the large scale of like relationships and being able to allow love in my life. And like, I've fallen flat so many times on that. And it's been one of the biggest detriments in my life. But like, I've also realized that it took all those things to be able to sit here and be like, okay, now I'm really ready. I'm really ready to receive it. Because I wasn't for so long.
Right.
You know, so it's tough because like it's very easy to get down on yourself and be like, well, I could have done this. I could have done that. I should have said this. I should have said that. But like, it is what it is. It happened. Now it's like, okay, what are you going to do moving forward? Because like I said earlier, it's not about worrying about the past. It's not about worrying about the future. It's about being present right now to be able to actually create those things that you want, the way that you know that you can have them. Yeah. And I struggled with that for so long, specifically in like the relationship route, because of my fears in relationship to like being worthy enough or feeling like I was good enough. And that's like been one of the biggest detriments in my life. But I think also at the same time, it's been one of the biggest learning lessons in my life. And it's like, as much as I hate to say I've gone through this way more times than I wish I had, it also has made me the human being I am today. And it's like I had to go through it.
Was it a time that you kind of recognized that? Like you dropped that ego and said, man, maybe it's a little bit of me too?
Absolutely. Recently, man. I've been going through it recently. So
we won't talk about it.
No. I'll fucking cry on this
if
bitch.
you start going, I'm going.
I ain't crying on this bitch.
No. But with you recognizing, man, that's an incredible thing because, you know, we're in a world full of egos, right? You know, especially in our world, sports, you know, bodybuilding.
Fucking
we have to uphold some sort of confidence, ego, whatever else. And, you know, I'll segue, you know, so we don't get too deep into other things. But one of the biggest things for me most recently in the last year, 6 months more so than anything else, was dropping the ego of the gorilla suit that I had and everybody recognized me for. The biggest I've ever been walking around lean. I never got fat ever, was 260.
Yeah, fuck at your height, that's insane. Insane, actually.
And
fuck, because like, if they don't know, how tall are you?
6'2".
Yo, you're
the fuck's this guy laughing at over here?
You're fucking jokes.
Fucking 6'1" then. What the fuck?
Yo, you're hilarious, bro.
5'6".
Oh, yeah, you're hilarious. That was good.
5'6".
Fucking, because I'm 260.
Yeah, you're really
but I'm
260.
tall. Yeah, right now I'm like 252, 254.
Yeah. What's the biggest you've been?
275, 280.
Really?
And I didn't like it.
How big were you when you jumped out of the pool? You were fucking big then.
260, yeah. 260. I always kind of hovered around that weight. Yeah. And then at one point I like really kind of went up and I was like 275, 280. And I was like, I didn't feel comfortable with that.
That extra 10 pounds is...
Yeah.
When I went from... Yeah.
That's when I was like, I don't know if I want to do this bodybuilding shit for real. That's truthfully when, because I remember like basic shit was like, well, I'm just tired.
All the
like
time. I'm
like walking upstairs and I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't feel like this, you know? So then I just realized I was like, okay, I could shift my focus. And also I always had a lot of health anxiety. I always had a lot of worry, like, oh, I'm going to fucking die. And so like, it always kind of like shied me away, which also like probably was a better thing in the long run.
It is, Matt. And I will say to the viewers, when I came in here and I was talking about drinking energy drinks, one of the first thing you said was like, how many of them do you have a day? You know, we kind of went on the health talk, not to go and pop that fucking cherry, but that to me just shows where your mind's at and where you're at in your life. I don't know if you've always been that way, but it just goes to show where you're at right now in your life, in that stage of life. And I'm kind of there too, you know, where I've done the whole bodybuilding thing, going kind of, you know, segueing back and forth into what we spoke about earlier. But I was very conscious about the exit strategy. Yeah. You know, a lot of guys will be for the no and they're like, I don't give a fuck, I want to be the biggest guy. But then when you're sick, what do most people want to do when they're sick?
Oh, not be sick.
Not be sick.
Yeah, man.
And when you feel fucking sick, where you got the flu or cold, whatever else, everybody kind of says, oh, bro, I feel like shit. Like, oh, man, I just want to get back in the gym. Now, imagine that is your day to day. And because you, as an unhealthy person, through the craft and the sport and everything else, that you've pushed yourself into this position. And unfortunately, there's twofold right now. I'm finding out there's more knowledge that are coming in that people have kind of learned the lesson from guys of old because of other, you know, past things that have happened, RIP. But also there's the new age element too, where there's, but this guy is taking this, and this goes back to the conversation we said earlier too. there's no end cap to that yet. And we're not going to see, I feel, a lot of these guys talk about health issues because of that for another couple of years, number of years. Everything takes its toll, but talking about the health and everything else. What else were we talking about? So I can say, I remember there was something I kind of went on a little bit off the point, but
prior to the health stuff?
Yeah. What were we saying? We were talking about something.
My fucking terrible life
choices.
choices.
Bro, I got ADHD too.
Here.
It's so great. I hope you have it too, right? Yeah, I know.
My terrible fucking life choices that fucking.
Life choices.
I had to learn a bunch of lessons.
I remember.
Yeah.
So it was the segueing and being known as the bodybuilder, as the big bodybuilder. That's 6'2".
Perfect. We were talking about this in the gym.
Yeah.
Okay. This is actually really interesting.
Yeah.
So I actually do really wanted to ask you this. Like, you obviously had to be. I mean, you're still fucking huge though, so it's kind of hard to give you this. Like,
not as big as.
Not as
I'm
big.
So skinny right now compared to what I want to be.
That's why it's hilarious. That's why this whole conversation is hilarious, because I guess I actually wanted to ask Ronnie about this too, and I never did. He was on my pod. I wish I asked him about this, but like, to be at that level of like competition prep and be at that level of like year after year after year, like up there, because you're coming back every year to win this shit. Mm-hmm. And then having to forego that. What does that do to your mentality? What did that do to yours?
It was a process. It was a process. Because of the gut issues, I told my nearest and dearest and my closest circles, the ones that they are not going to break any type of, it's that there's a possibility that I might not compete. And I'm not going to lie to you, my training partners, both were crying. They truly believed, as did I wouldn't have done this had I not and persevered through the hell that I did. I truly believe that I would have won the Olympia, or would have been the first ever champ. But it's a woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? But if you look at the people who just came first and second, I beat them both.
Yeah.
Hardy just won. I beat Hardy in Korea, and Derek Lunsford came second, who took over the reign from me as a 212 champ. Incredible guy, incredible champion, will be a champion in the future. But I beaten him too. So it would have been great mix for me to be up in that.
Yeah, well, they shifted. You couldn't know that it was going to shift to that direction in bodybuilding.
I felt it was going there.
Fuck.
I felt it was going there. That's one of the reasons why. Because originally when I had this mentality of shifting from the 212 to the open, people were telling me, no, they're always going to go for the biggest guy. But then shape and structure started coming through. And because of guys like Chris Bumstead and the classic physique getting such a great response, the open class kind of transcends into that. You know, what you want? Somebody that's winning shows that a fan, a person in a magazine can pick up and go, man, I would not want to be that big, but he's got a decent physique. And then then it goes down the line, right? It goes to Chris.
This is why men's physique is so popular.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have the best of both worlds, bring in classic lines, symmetry and structure, no bellies.
Well, you always held that. You always held that.
I prided myself on having that look, And I wanted to bring it to the open class.
That would have been insane. Like, you would have done it. So you got to feel a little, I don't know. I'm trying to like deflect how shitty I feel in my life right now. Back to you. It's got to feel pretty shitty.
No.
Okay, good.
I'm okay. I'm a great spot, and I'll tell you why. I had to process it my way, right? So when I told my closest near and dear, my circle of circles, that I was doing this, everybody was like, Flex, just think about it. So I sat in it for 3 months. 3 months. I trained. I had my good days, I had my bad days. I had my, fuck, man, please. You know, I was appetite issues, stomach issues, throwing up every day. It was horrible. And it was all food related.
Yeah.
Allergies and stomach. And like, I would eat something and literally my stomach would swell. And that's not me. I don't have a belly. I've never had one. It was just literally my stomach would swell from food. And again, when you've hired the best in the United States, I mean, I hired I know I mentioned this earlier, 3 gut specialists. I could have bought the fucking house in Tennessee for the amount of money I spent trying to stay in the game, but that's how much I believed I could have won this. And I stayed in it to the very end. I knew, I can look you in the eyes and I can say I knew that I walked away knowing that I'd done absolutely everything. So when I told the world, or shall I say I told the IFBB, you know, Steve Weinberger, Jim Mannion, and guys at the top of the tree that I respect highly, that I've devoted my life to this craft on, they were like, just push pause on this. And I was like, I've done this for 3 months.
Like,
I was already done.
Yeah.
I was already done. And there was a lot of people trying to get me back out of that, you know, out of that mentality, but I was okay. I moved on. I done a lot of different things. I had to process it my own way, and I also seeked, you know, help in that process from, you know, you got to remember, and same for you too. It's like Bradley Martyn is a brand. You've created this empire around everything you've got, and there's all these kind of spider graphs that have come off Bradley Martyn, you know, zoo culture, raw gear, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So then you start thinking, it's like, okay, if that pops, what happens to everything else around me? You know, I have just under 200 employees. You know, all my business is underneath me. So how would that affect them? So that was really my anxiety. There was true anxiety when I thought, shit, how is this going to affect them? And I had to really think. And then I was like, this is for me. Am I happy in life? And the answer was no. And at the end of the day, you have one life. I have this, and you'll see this when you come to my office. I have this painting on my wall done by Iconic, and it's a ticket stub, and it basically says one life. And it's one life on that ride, and we're in that ride right now.
Yeah.
And you'd really have to live it on your terms. You know, there's so many guys that are in relationships that have kids and shitty marriages and doing shit that they don't want to do because they've been taught by their generation before them, or it's been brain trained that they have to clock in at this time every single day and work and make money for the man, not them, for themselves, or they're in such a rut. I came to this country with knowing one person. My goal was to be the best bodybuilder in the world. I had all the fucking cards stacked against me. If I was a lottery, I won the lottery. But I truly believed in leaving my family, my friends, and everybody else in Wales that I was going to do this. And every time shit hit the fan, you know, my mum would be like, all right, babe, come home now. You know, I'm ready. Mom's cooking is there. And that was tempting.
Yeah.
But I'd come so far that I did not want to let anybody down. And more than anything else, I was the one that was going to change the generation for everybody else around me. And my goal was to, you know, be in this circumstance I'm in right now, to help my mum and dad, to help my brother, to help my family members, and then pass back to other people too. So it's gone full circle now. And going back to what I was saying, when I made that decision, I had to stand on my 2 feet and say no. Everybody wants me to come back. I mean, after the Olympia, you know, any judges came up to my ear and basically said, hey, you got to win this. You can do it next year. Good hype.
But you knew it wasn't for you.
My heart was in this sport, mate, since I was 19. I devoted my life to this craft. And right now, thankfully, I've set myself up to have that segue. But that transition was tough, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I have a question in regards to, like, obviously all the accomplishments, all the achievements. What would you say would be your most important attribute in, like, achieving that success? Like, for you personally, what would you say was, like, the thing that you're like, this is one of the things that was probably, if you put them all on, like, a chart, was, like, the most important thing for you?
Having my kids.
Damn. You think that just pushed you over that made you just do everything?
Mate, I found a sixth gear when I found out my wife was pregnant that nobody could have fucking stopped me.
Yeah.
It was like, fucking bring it on. And then when I had this little baby in my hand that was so vulnerable and like, shit. I'm the one now that controls her future.
Yeah.
And I just had, you know, my second. He's going to be a year old coming up.
Yeah.
And it's a different mentality, and that's one of the other reasons why I retired too, because I wanted to be present. You know how much times I've given to other people, promoters and stuff like that, and I've been away from my daughter, and I've had to miss things. I mean, fuck me, I missed a flight, and I had a whole zoo at my house. I came home to pick up fucking giraffe shit and fucking elephant shit. That's what I was left with because I missed the flight. So with my son now, I said to myself, I want to be present, and I wanted to have more of my businesses in and wrapped around what I'm doing. So that would be my biggest accolade in terms of achievements and trophies and stuff. winning the first Olympia was an incredible feat. There was people missing that.
What about personality trait? Like, what about, like, meaning what part of you would you say would be, obviously it's as a whole, but what about you do you think allowed you to really get to that point? Obviously, like, the children are going to push you and elevate you to a different level, but like, what about you and your personality you think really allowed you to get to that level?
I just had a poor man's mentality. I just had people talk about this immigrant mentality of coming over to the United States. I truly believe that so many times you fucking know that the American dream is dead. I wanted to be that statistic of being the American dream. And I think I achieved that, and I'm still in chapter fucking X, I've got so many more chapters to do, but the personality aspect of things, I think it was coming over here, knowing that I've come from a very humble upbringing, steel working, mining town, to then coming over to the United States and truly seeing the glass half full and chasing after my dreams. So I don't know what that would be cliched as, but I had the poor man's mentality I still have it.
It's just drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, it's just, there's no other way it could have done all this.
No.
So, okay, so bodybuilding is obviously in the past now. What are your focuses now, business-wise in life?
Business-wise, obviously the Olympia has most definitely allowed me to, I guess say have a platform, right? The legacy that I left. I was able to retire from amateur. I have with my amateur career, undefeated. I went into the 212 class and I was able to retire undefeated in the 212 class. So I was two kind of thing. I think that's historic. I don't think anybody's gone into bodybuilding, into a weight class or open class, won everything in that weight class and been able to retire on top.
Yeah, no.
So that, ending that chapter there, crossed off my T's and dotted my I's. The segue then was onto my businesses, and it's very prideful for me to walk into Zoo Culture today and just see Arsenal strength everywhere. Yeah. Which is obviously I'm partner in the business. Me and Andrew, started that up in 2015.
I always kick myself for this, for not, when I first opened Zoo Culture 2017, for not trying to become a partner. I always kick myself for that.
What year was that you opened it up?
2017.
Bro. First of all, I never got an invite to come to a Zoo Culture in 2017, but I also think that you didn't know I was part of it. It was years later. I had no idea. Right? No, you did. When did you find out I was part of it? Because I messaged you and you were like clueless, I think you were.
Yeah, well, it must have been like years later, like 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago from now, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember hitting you up and we were talking, and I kind of think you faked it. Pretending that you knew.
Oh, no. It took time. I think, like I said, it was like after I opened the gym, 17, 18, 19, 20. It was probably like 20. Yeah, like it was a few years, like maybe 2020 when I realized it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2019.
Oh, wow, before COVID.
Yeah. It was just I didn't know, because obviously I knew Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew was a stud, man. I speak to Andrew today.
Yeah, great guy.
He loves you. I mean, we all love you too.
Fucking incredible guy, man.
Yeah,
but I kick myself for that. I'm like, fuck.
I didn't know you had the opportunity to.
I didn't. But I should have asked, because of the position that I was in.
And all this time.
I know, man. I fucked up.
Hey, listen.
I love it, because I like it's. I mean, we could talk about it more. But like I'm like, I love the equipment. Yeah. I love like, even just the way you guys. My experience with Andrew and the way that he operates, the way that he like helps the planning, the way that he pushes the process forward, everything. I mean, I'm like, dude, I love this brand. Yeah. And so it is definitely something. I mean, I'm sitting here now and be like, I'd love to try to figure out a way to still be a part of it. I mean, I kind of am, because of the relationship we have.
Yes, we definitely part of it, man.
But like, I'd love to figure out like a real way to be a part of it, because I still kick myself. Yeah. I still kick myself. I'm like, dude, why did I not bring this up?
Well, listen, we can talk off camera, I guess. Well. But I guess with what we are involved with right now, and how you push and promote, and what you've done in the gym for us. I mean, me and my guy Roderick, when we walked in there, I was like, where are any other pieces? You kind of got the same ratio to me.
Yeah.
And obviously I'll talk about my gym now, but you have like it looks like it's like a 90-10 split between Arsenal and everything else. I mean, take away cardio and everything else.
Yeah.
I was looking for pieces, and you got pretty much everything, and you know, red and black is my colors, and it's your colors.
I know we're working on the pullover. That's what I want.
It's coming.
I've been
If
talking
you're not getting it before me, motherfucker, no.
I would come take that shit from your fucking gym, bro. I told him specifically, I was like, this is the one thing we need. I need this.
Yeah,
like easily one of my favorite machines of all time.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, it's definitely well needed for our line of pieces of equipment, and you know, there's certainly, you know, incredible brands out there, but I'm very prideful of what we've created from honestly, mate, concept. And very short, telling you a story, you know, Andrew is an incredible partner. I would say I'm the crazy one of us both. But what he done back in the day, him and I were training together in Tennessee, in a gym in Tennessee. I used to live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And we were training, and I think it was 202, Mr. Olympia back then. We were training, doing something together. And he was telling me about an equipment company he was working with back then, and some of the issues he was having. And I said, start your own. You got all these relationships. People are there for you, bro. He's like, yeah, I know, you're right. I said, fucking do it, bro. Seriously, I'll help you with this. So I went on the road. I was with Gaspari. I went on like a month tour. I come back. He's like, Flex, I sold the house. I'm doing it. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? Bro. And I was like, okay, I'm in. I've got to. But I believed in him, and I believed in the concept. And then obviously 2015 is when we officially, you know, opened, and now we're global. And thanks to guys like yourself who are, you know, strategic partners that have been able to, you know, showcase the pieces in a different audience, because your audience is different to mine, right? Yes, there's crossovers, but you have such a unique, and it's very social media based as well. You know, you're the top of the tree in that world, so everybody comes to you because you're the man in that world. So it's great to see what you've done, mate. I'm proud, you know, of what you've done throughout the years. And again, obviously, I know we're kind of newly meeting, but everybody who kind of knows me knows I won't throw them words around easy, because it's earned, you know, not given. And that's your story, right? It's been earned. So what you've created, the empire you've created right now, is truly, you know, very impressive, and also, you know, very motivating too, mate.
I appreciate it, man.
Truly.
Genuinely. It means a lot.
No, truly, it does.
Fuck. I don't even know where to go from there. Guy got me kind of emotional. It's you know, it's interesting because this industry, it's rare for people to really, like, who are, you know, at the top of their game, who've been at the top of their game, to actually show love. You know, another person who showed me a lot of love once on camera, who's done incredible things in the sport, was Kai Green. Another guy who told me, I remember we're at like a Gymshark meetup in Venice, and he came to me and was like, yo, you were one of the first people that showed me that I didn't need bodybuilding to like have success because of like what I did on social media, the timing in which I did it, that like no one else was really doing it to that degree. And he gave me those flowers then, and I couldn't be more grateful enough, because like he went to the top, and I think, you know, he had his issues with the organization and why he didn't continue to compete. And he said, you were one of the guys who like really inspired me to see that I can make a life outside of this. And then he pursued that, and, you know, so there's probably two people who've given me that love, and it's you and him.
Oh man.
And everyone else is like, I feel like, I don't know. It's like a lot of motherfuckers are, they rather like.
I mean, if you pull any of my guys aside, they'll tell you I'm very big on. Also, there's an element to it that some people don't need to be put on a pedestal because they think they're already there. You know, but I'll still give them the props and the love that is needed. But I also, on the flip of a coin, in this generation and this day we're living in, and the success people have, not many people give flowers when they're still on this earth.
Yeah.
I was very blessed to have an incredible relationship with Dallas McCarver. You know, he was my training partner when he passed away. And that was a horrible part of my life. You know, I had to rebound and get back in the driving seat for the Olympia that same year.
Fuck.
But I used to tell him all the time how proud I was of him, and that was a wake-up call for me, because, you know, we've lost a lot of friends who you could have said something to them, and maybe that, in some cases, not all cases, of course, may have been enough to live another day or something, right? Yeah. So on the top of the tree, man, more people need to give respect when it's done and earned, and from me to you, you know, you are one of them figurative people who Now, when I'm at in my career, I'm trying to be like Bradley Martyn because I'm trying to be jacked and athletic. You know, I come from the rugby background, and I'm now going back into that. I'm actually started a transformation now, which I'm showcasing on my YouTube. Nice. Kind of a little cheeky plug there.
Yeah, go for it. I don't care. All good.
But I think that's my mentality now is more getting back that athleticism. You know, I can still do a backflip and after a couple of drinks, but.
Fuck that, dude. Listen, it's so funny because people have asked me for years why I never did a backflip because I know that I could because I jump very high.
Yeah.
The reason why is because when I tried to do a backflip, I got traumatized. What? So someone told me, they were like, yo, I got you. Like, I'm going to help you. You know how like they can help you through it?
You put, yes.
Bro, this motherfucker has me do it. I must have done it on like, the floor was not meant for backflips or anything.
Well, that's number one rule right
Number
there.
one, I was just like, but I'm trusting the person because they're like, no, I got you, easy, like this. I was up at some gym in Sacramento. I'll never forget this. I think it was with Uriah Faber.
Oh, jeez.
And some other guy, some other UFC coming up. Anyways, and I was at Uriah Faber's gym, and so he goes, I got you. I promise, it's so easy. He's like all hyped up, so I believe him.
Oh,
right?
Shit.
This motherfucker goes to help me. Gives me zero help. I destroy my knee. Like fucking destroyed my knee. It hurt for like a year and a half.
You landed on your knees?
Landed directly on one knee. God. Not on both knees, on one knee. Like all my weight went to one knee.
Kind of like you went on a kneel position. Backflip onto the knee.
So I backflip and I didn't complete it. And I landed on like this knee. Like I didn't land on both. So it wasn't even. It was all on one knee. And so it hurt for literally like a year and a half and affected all my lifts, everything else that I was doing. Like I'd bench and I'd be like, fuck my knee again. And it was terrible. It affected everything. And ever since then I was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
I got traumatized. I was like a kid. I couldn't even like go to try to do it again. I was like, nah, this is going to happen again. Cause I didn't tuck it. I just like jumped and I just floated, but I floated too slow and just hit the knee.
Have you ever had anybody show you before that, or was it just initiative?
No, that was literally the first time someone was like, try this. And I was like, yeah, I can jump high. And but he convinced me. He was so happy. He's like, yeah, no, I got you, dude. I promise. It's so easy. Like, and I was like, oh, he's so convinced. So I just did it. Fucked. Completely fucked my knee. And it fucked my training up. So I was like, nah, I'm never doing that again. And that's the reason why I haven't done a backflip.
Can you walk in your hands? I think you can do that, right?
Yeah. I can do a back. I'm gonna learn it. Fuck that. I'm gonna use that motherfucking mentality, and I'm gonna do a fucking backflip.
What mentality? I ain't giving you no mentality. No. I will promote that mentality on anything, but I didn't do one for the backflip. I didn't give you the push for the backflip.
If I fuck up my knee, it's you. It's on you.
My God.
This knee's blood is on your hand.
I need this to be rewound, so I make sure I didn't give any blessing.
I'll never forget it. It was Flex. He ruined his knee.
If you're doing one, I'll do one. But I walk in on my hands. My daughter found out I can do a handstand, and then now me showing off because she's like, "You can't do it again. You can't do one." And I'm like, "I done one last week. You can't do another one." Oh my God, that destroys.
Now you're a pro.
Oh, my shoulders are so ragged. You know, I got two-tone fucking labrums in the back there, and they're always reminding me like this. But anyway.
Well, listen, man, it was an amazing conversation. I would love to have you back on again.
Thank you.
I'm going to come on your show.
Yes,
obviously, this I'm going to come visit your gym in Vegas. I'm obviously talking about opening a gym in Vegas. Dude, we have to talk about this off camera, but. Because I'm figuring like there's a location, but it's like way too close to your gym.
Oh no, bro, come on, bro.
Everyone. Because you text me, you were like, "Yo, people saying blah blah blah," and I'm like, "It's not even like that."
Yeah.
Because I want to open a gym in Vegas, and you know, I don't think people even I don't know how much people know about you and your involvement, at least from my audience in Arsenal. So it's like it helps either way.
Yeah,
you know, it's
as long as it's not on the doorstep, it helps either way.
No, on the doorstep
in Vegas.
No, it's like it's like if I'm looking at the map, it's here. Dragon's Lair is here, and it's like it's across the highway.
That could be 20 minutes. So
no, it's not 20 minutes.
Geez.
No, dude, you might have to find a different.
Oh
location.
my God,
it's like 5-6 minutes.
Bro, you're killing
me.
But
it'd be like a bunch of people.
There's a bunch of people go to your gym, yeah.
Nah, they go both, dude. I'd be like, yo, check out Dragon's Lair.
This guy.
We could just turn your thing into like a protein house.
What do you mean? You want to turn my gym
into a protein house? Like the foods, right? Go over, get the food.
No, turn your gym into a protein house.
I'm fucking with you. No, I don't have it set in stone yet. I don't have the exact location yet. Yeah. That was a potential, and I was like, it's probably, I don't want it. It's a little too close.
I appreciate it.
But I am really wanting to do that. And obviously, you know, you're part of it, which is dope. And it's so either way, I just kind of expel whatever rumors people like talk shit or this.
You know, it's Vegas. People want to kind of, you know, they'll run back and forth. So sometimes I kind of like throw a little sprinkle because I'm friends with the end caps. I'll be like, hey, listen, I said this. So if it comes back, you know, I said it. And I've done send the messenger a couple of different things, but what I obviously it's Vegas. People at your gyms that are coming to Vegas all the time. I mean, we've had since I've opened up. There's been 5 gyms that have opened, 4 or 5 gyms that have opened since in Vegas. Listen, what people don't understand from the outside in, you are very involved with the gym. You're a very hands-on gym owner, and I'm sure you'll be spending quite some time in Vegas back and forth, right?
Of course,
periodically, right?
Yeah.
And that's what gyms need. They need like a water in. They need a Bradley Manning. People are coming into the gym to see you. They come to Zoo Culture in hopes they're going to see you. If they don't see you, there's an element of all these other celebrities there.
Yeah.
Vegas is not a big place.
Yeah.
So, you know, when these gyms have been set up from afar, and, you know, we've got guys that are coming in from Korea, there's guys that are coming in from Canada, there's guys that are coming in, but they're throwing money at this thing, and then they soon realizing that the membership pool is so small that you and I work off tourism, and we have the name.
Yes.
You know, so that is our kind of forte. We've worked hard in making sure that tourism is something that, you know, is a bucket list for us. It's part of the experience. And for them, you know, opening a gym and throwing equipment in and just thinking it's in Vegas, it doesn't work like that.
No way.
There's an ambience to be created, and something needs to be watered, just like every business. So, you know, you coming to Vegas definitely will be an incredible element. I'm looking at a couple of locations here in
Everybody in Encino?
yeah,
down the street?
No, but
dude, that's funny.
It'd be cool because, again, listen, your demographic is not mine, and there's a crossover. So, you know, Vegas is an incredible place. I love it there. And obviously, I moved there during
it's coming
during
up,
COVID.
man. It's
and,
going crazy, actually.
and I love recruiting. So I've brought a lot of pros in from different parts of the world. And now they call themselves, you know, they call Vegas their home. You know, and obviously, selfishly, if I get to see you more than this weekend, you know, it's great for me. And I think synergistically too, you and I will fall into so many different conversations off camera that, you know, that as soon as we start talking more and more, you really is like we're closer than we thought we were. You know, because we've got a lot of mutual friends, a lot of different business ventures, and I'm sure there's advice that can be spread on both sides. Again, I want to see the best out of people. I think karma has been very good to me. My mentality now in life is, you know, just treat people how you want to be treated yourself, and now it's gone full circle for me, and I've been able now to give back to the future, and here I am, you know. And I just want to note out too that the reason why I'm here today is because I came out here 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And we tried to lock it in. I forgot, because I used to live in Santa Monica for a number of years. Traffic has gone fucking ballistic, more than worse than what it was.
It's definitely gotten worse.
For me to come and meet you 2 weeks ago wouldn't have been on the cards. We tried it. We wouldn't work it out. You were doing the Larry Wheels podcast, which I think dropped today, right, or something?
Yeah, dropped it today.
So no, you know, I said to you, let's get back on. And it was like, come out whenever. I was like, how about next week?
Yeah, easy.
I told you, I'm a man of my word, bro.
Yeah, you crushed it.
And I appreciate you, you know, opening up your Zoo Culture gym for me. A lot of fans there. I took a lot of photos today. Yeah. Great to see so many people working on the Arsenal strength pieces. And here I am now on your podcast.
It's been a blessing, man. I'm really grateful to have you on. And I'll come when I come to Vegas. I'll come on yours and show you some love too.
I'd love that. We're doing the new studio too, so you can be one of the first guests.
Hell yeah, I love it, man. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff. Drop some good reviews. I love you guys. We're out of here.